What's up guys, Jimmy here again with an update. I know it's been a while. In this video we're going to cover how my trip was to meet with several members of the Elastos Foundation and some members of the community, some stuff going on with some changes at Elastos, some frequently asked questions regarding Elastos and IOEX. Let's go. First off, so sorry about the lack of updates over the last week and a half or so. It has just been crazy. I know you guys have seen me kind of popping in and out of Telegram and on Reddit, etc. I try to keep everyone up to date whenever I can, but you know, I had some traveling that was going on. I had a college graduation in one state, and then flew out to San Jose, and then had family in town, and it's just nuts this time of year. But now I'm back and I'm getting caught up, and that's actually the point of this video. We're actually going to talk about my trip out to San Jose that was to meet with certain members of the Elastos Foundation and the Elastos community. Basically, they did pay for this. I feel it incumbent upon me to tell you that yes, Elastos did pay for that trip out there. They do not pay for this video or any of the videos on my channel for that matter. So please, keep in mind that these are my opinions. But my purpose at this meeting, I wasn't really sure of it at first, but my purpose was really not necessarily from a software architecture point of view or anything like that. It was from an organizational architecture point of view. They wanted my opinion on things. They wanted to get my insights as far as, hey, what do you think would be most beneficial to you, friendly viewer, as well as the people that I work with, both professionally and of course through YouTube, etc. And in reality, it's a very different market, marketing to technical types versus marketing to speculative types. And the marketing, predominantly, a lot of the forces that you see on YouTube are by speculative types. Now, I don't necessarily believe that the technology types are all you should market to. There needs to be a balance. But my opinion on the matter, which I did voice to the foundation, which they were actually receptive to, was the fact, though, that at this stage in Elastos, we need to cater to developers being able to use that technology so that they can create products that show the general public the power of the Elastos ecosystem. If we allow those developers to achieve this, what I call minimum path to awesome, in other words, the shortest path to getting them up and running on Elastos technology, I think that we will see more products taking advantage of it, and in turn more businesses that get created by these developers directly or by these developers working within their own organizations with the technology. One example that I like to use with regards to marketing to developers in a very specific way, but a very niche way, is the battle between Amazon and DigitalOcean, or Amazon Web Services and DigitalOcean. They're both very large cloud hosting providers. How did DigitalOcean manage to carve away some of the market share from Amazon, when Amazon was the financial behemoth that it is? And what they really did was they marketed to developers on very specific terms. They said, if you Google how to install XYZ on Ubuntu, you get oftentimes a top-ranked DigitalOcean article, and they'll give you a gorgeous how-to video or how-to article. At the end, it says, hey, we noticed that blah, 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 click here to get set up on DigitalOcean. It was a very, very warm lead and a very, very clear call to action. Right now, if you Google how to start a blockchain or how to write a dApp or whatever, oftentimes you don't get those types of resources. And I think that that's a very significant marketing opportunity for Elastos and, of course, other projects that may potentially be based on Elastos technology. These are just a multitude of ways that we can and should be marketing, in my opinion. So I actually met up with Faye, with Donnie, with Kevin, all of these wonderful people that you see here. And we talked about sort of what we can do to try to drive adoption in the West. And of course, I was very heavily an advocate for developer relations. And we're actually making plans in 2019 to get some stuff like that out the door. However, a lot of things that you see with regards to how Elastos was marketed, and this is a lot of questions have really been asked lately about what about Faye, what about Donnie, what about etc., XYZ. And the truth is you can't market an initiative of this magnitude. You can't market Elastos. You have to show people how this technology can be used, and really that has to be shown through actual tangible products that people can use, or at least see. PureJet was a great example of that. They could see, hey, we're seeing all these nodes, we can install it on Kodi, you know, things like that are in progress, of course, and I hope to get that stuff out here very, very soon. But they're seeing these types of things, and you can hold them, but most importantly, they have to provide value outside of the currency, okay? Because the real future value in Elastos is not necessarily just in the holding of the currency, it's in the utility that token allows you to achieve. So what can you do with it? Not just how much of this do I hold and what's the value of it. That's very short-sighted. That's actually why you see a lot of the crypto markets fluctuate, you know, really chained to Bitcoin. Another one of the questions that I got was about IOEX, actually. It was about, did IOEX abandon Elastos? And this was actually my fault. I did mention a conversation I'd had with Ken at IOEX and even with Rong, etc., and Kieran. And Kieran was actually really good about kind of running this up the chain. I said, look, I was looking through the GitHub one day on IOEX's repository, and I was talking to some people on the IOEX team, and they said, yeah, we've made some breaking changes that would basically, you know, the nodes would be communicating in a different way on IOEX versus Elastos. And I said, well, really and truly, for this partnership to be long-lasting, shouldn't we make sure that our products are backwards compatible? Well, one side knew about it, the other side didn't, and that was why I reached out to Kieran and said, hey, can you run this up the chain? We want to make sure that both of these projects are kind of backporting their features and we're supporting one another, because in reality, IOEX was not doing anything wrong or illegal. I don't think that they were trying to cut anybody out. That just tends to happen when you develop in a vacuum. You start developing things, and then by the time you come up for air, you're like, well, wait a minute, this Lego piece doesn't exactly fit here. And it causes a little bit of a refactor. So, of course, the foundation was keenly interested in that, and obviously these issues have been addressed to the best of my knowledge. So that is fantastic. And, of course, both IOEX and Elastos will win, because remember, at the end of the day, it's not actually in IOEX's best interest to really, like, you know, do a hard fork of the Elastos carrier network, despite the fact that they legally can, because they lose out on all that developmental power on having really all of these resources developing the carrier network. But I did want to at least put the answer to that question out there. I've been getting that quite a bit. We've had questions about the TV boxes. What's the status of the TV boxes? So I actually got a hold of one of these TV boxes when I was in San Jose, talking to really everybody. To whoever brought them, I apologize for actually like taking it out of the box, but I did. And so you're seeing it here. It's booting up. It's largely, of course, in Chinese, right? It is a Chinese product. Now, the boxes that you see are not actually sold with all the Elastos branding and things like that, but these are prototypes. But the ones that are actually in the field do have all the carrier technology running on them, but they're white labeled as some other manufacturer. The other piece here is, what about Donnie? What about Faye? This has been a big thing. And again, these are my opinions. One, I'm not going to give you a bunch of dirt on that situation. There's not a lot of dirt there, first off, but there are press releases being coordinated there, and that information will come in due time. I believe that it is just of the utmost importance, of course, that be talked about by the foundation. So by no means am I saying, hey, we need to keep this under wraps. No, I think they do need to come out with it. They need to issue a press release, and I do know that that's in progress. But some things about Donnie. I actually met Donnie while I was there, and I talked to him on the phone, and Donnie is a really passionate individual. He is. However, he is primarily an operations guy. And this is actually a bigger problem with what we've been facing in the Elastos Foundation and in the community is we have a lot of people that are overextended, okay? We have people like KP, for example, that are doing 10 people's different jobs. We have Donnie, who is, handling marketing efforts, but his his actual, profession, really, the real value he brings into the table is really more on the operations side. It's on the financial side. So we need those people doing what they do best. And if, sure, if people have to wear multiple hats from time to time, but not to the extent that they are now. We're expecting 40 hours a week per hat that they're wearing, and they're only one person. So, ultimately we want to get Donnie back into more of an operations role. I think that would be good. We want KP back to focusing on the technology, focusing on how do we get these developers onboarded. He has a wealth of experience and knowledge. As a matter of fact, he was one of my first contacts with Elastos in getting me up and running with the technology, and I thank him to this day. It's wonderful. Regarding Faye is what I would call a moonshot marketer. Okay, she's one of the few people that I know that could get you on the phone with Bosch or with Draper Labs or with, really any one of 100 of the Fortune 500 companies. However, I think at this stage, moonshot marketing is not necessarily what we need. We need sort of a grassroots movement with developers, with smaller influencers within those communities, because I firmly believe in the land and expand model. We need to have a core facet of developers that are developing products that are just awesome at one thing, okay? Then that drives the ecosystem, okay? That drives, a lot of other things. Like, for example, Linux. Linux was really and truly like a grassroots movement in the open source initiative, okay? Open source software would not be nearly the behemoth that it is today had it not been for Linux, because prior to Linux, every single operating system, for the most part, most operating systems were proprietary. Okay, like you had to go through big corporate licenses to get them or whatever, and Linux basically said, okay, here you go. This is free for everybody. It's open source. The licenses mean you have to make it open source. You have to keep it open source. And again, that just sort of fueled this big thing, and that's what we're trying to do here. Elastos is the catalyst for a much larger concept, for a much larger movement. So in reality, we need people that are focusing on delivering core value in small areas so that we can expand to larger areas. We cannot conquer the world just with like a marketing push, right? Like a Super Bowl video is not going to do that. So again, now regarding the assets that have already been created, the marketing videos, etc., I believe that we can actually reuse those, okay, because they're timeless. The fantastic Elastos video that you saw, we can reuse that later, because for the most part, people that have seen it are kind of in our little space. They're in our little niche. So I don't believe that that's actually money wasted. I believe we should keep those assets in our back pocket so that as we grow, okay, and as the public eye starts turning to Elastos, we can deploy those where it seems necessary, and then we can actually create new marketing aspects that target a much smaller audience that's laser focused to the people that we're trying to attract, and I think that will be really important. And it will also be cheaper over time, because targeting a specialized set of people is a lot cheaper than targeting, of course, everybody that Google's cryptocurrency. Anyway, guys, that about wraps this up. My trip was fantastic. It was definitely needed. It was very productive. I got a lot of heads down, planning time and execution time with Rong, with Fang Han, with Donnie, with KP, with Rosh, and just everybody, the Chinese core engineers. There was a lot of knowledge sharing, which was a big part of this actual meetup, because a lot of times when they're working in China, we're working over here, all these different things are happening, it's very hard to get on the same page. But what I can tell you is it was insanely productive, and you will start seeing the benefits of that meeting and kind of the fruits of that knowledge and labor start to come out here over the next coming weeks and well into 2019. That was a big part of the reason why we were there, to start planning for 2019 and ultimately start executing on the greater vision. So my task to you, developer viewers, etc., entrepreneurs, think about your favorite cloud services. Think about things that you absolutely can't live without. Come up with a plan to put that stuff on Elastos technology, or at least brainstorm ideas about how that stuff can be placed into the Elastos ecosystem, so that ultimately we can liberate all of the people that potentially use that service. Be it Dropbox, or be it some IoT device, Alexa or whatever, Netflix. Think about how we can potentially give people access to their data, ownership of their data, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a new internet here. In the next video, we're going to be doing some Christmas time Cody hacking. So I promised that I would get that stuff out. I'm still committed to doing that. But in the meantime, guys, be good. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, tweet. You know, do everything but FUD. Actually, do all of that. And it doesn't matter if it's this project or any other project. Just, you know, try to be nice, be good. Again, we're all in this. You know, we're all in this together. Again, please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you on the next video.